Good morning. Welcome to the Noble Helium June quarterly webinar. Today, the host will be Executive Chairman Dennis Donald. He'll walk you through a performance of the company's performance over the last 3 months, the June quarter, but also providing an update on the company's strategy and recently announced drilling campaign. At the end of Dennis's presentation, there will be a short Q&A. A number of questions have been fielded during the week in the lead up to the webinar. I'm confident most of those questions will be answered during the presentation, but any questions that aren't will be answered privately at the conclusion of the webinar. I would also add that a link to the webinar recording will be lodged on the Noble Helium website and on their social channels following the end of the webinar. But without further ado, I'd now like to bring on Dennis and take myself off.
It's grand. Thank you, Gareth. Welcome, everyone.
Over to you now, Dennis.
Okay. I hope you can hear me okay. Would that be the case, Gareth? Yes?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. So thank you, Gareth. Welcome, everyone. Gareth, can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, we're on slide 2.
Yeah. So to kick the presentation off, let's start with an overview of the Rukwa. And in terms of the Rukwa, we believe we have a really unique generation and trapping mechanism in the Rukwa province. Helium generated deep in the tight basement rock is migrating to accessible, shallower sedimentary traps further up the substrate, and the forthcoming drilling program is designed to further confirm that we have these gas-phased shadow sedimentary traps. And once we have done that, that will be extremely significant for opening up the western flank. In terms of the potential scale of the helium in our assets, I would point out the independently assessed prospective 225 BCF number across our portfolio. This is significant indeed, and once proven up, it would be considered a world-class asset. And I hope that the next few slides would explain how we intend to achieve our ambitions in the Rukwa and do our level best to prove up that 225 BCF. Next slide, please. So the initial goal is to prove up, then monetize the North Rukwa Western margin. When we designed and looked at the forthcoming drilling sequence, we've adopted a helium-centric approach in our planning, and where possible, we've steered away from more expensive hydrocarbon processes and equipment. We've brought in academics and we've brought in independent experts that have really challenged the way that we have done things in the past. And some of the things we've done in the past we had to do because we weren't 100% sure of what we had. And that said, no matter what we do in our planning, at the forefront of everything is safety. We're an extremely safety conscious company. We've started to engage helium distributors and process manufacturers in anticipation of a successful drilling campaign. And in fact, early commercial modeling indicates that the cash flow from the shallow helium concentrations in the western margin, once proven up, can be used to develop the deeper western margin plays. And for the eastern margin plays, we would look to employ other funding potential. It's much more expensive over there. So we're looking at things like farm-ins and forward selling of gas. And we anticipate that the advisory board will be very helpful in this activity. And we intend to have a small team looking 3 to 6 months ahead and engaging the market with regards to farm-ins, etc., and with regards to ensuring that we have the correct funding mechanisms for the processing equipment once we've proven up the western margins. Next slide, please. So what are we actually going to do? Well, I'm hoping that you see the 5 steps here, and really the steps that we're taking breaks down into 5 distinct sections. Number 1, appraise. We are looking to drill this year, all things coming together. We have a Kenyan rig available that's been spec'd out. We have approvals pretty much in place. And as per our previous ASX announcement, we've had some excellent preparation work done by our COO, Dermot, and our Tanzanian team. And for your general information, in tandem with the drilling program, members of our peer review team will be developing exploration concepts for the eastern margin. So we brought industry experts in to peer review everything that we did, and those experts will be working with us, looking at the forward steps from a successful drilling campaign. As I indicated to you previously, our strategic team are engaging parties regarding building a small production plant. We've set ourselves a target of 18 months from successful drilling to getting that production plant up and running. And we will also at the same time be engaging farming partners for the eastern margin. We don't see any problem with starting that work now. We're just anticipating success. Also, step number 3, under build, we're saying when cash flow kicks in from the western margin, we will utilize it to build our western opportunities. So using that cash flow to build our western opportunities. Under the 4-step grow, latterly having secured the finance, we will explore and develop our eastern margin, deeper, more expensive, but with potentially very significant helium deposits. And I'll come on and talk about the additional work that's been done by our technical director, Justin. And it's been a really interesting and revelatory review of the information that we have. Some people might say in terms of step 5 that we're being a little bit ambitious, but I think if things start playing out for us, we do get a farm in, we do get we can use the cash flow from the facilities on the western margin, then I don't think it's within the bounds of reason for us to look at geographically at other areas to see if we can build the Noble Helium brand in other parts of the world. Next slide, please. So our next drilling campaign will test 5 gas phase helium targets along North Rukwa's western margin. As I said to you previously, our aim is to drill this year if possible. I'll just wait a moment. And with regards to drilling our next, drilling the 5 targets, a very key component of that will be data collection, both for the western margin and the wider basin. We see this as key. All wells will be logged and other appropriate data collection methods will be employed. Can we go on to slide 6, please, Gareth? So as I said to you previously, Justin, our technical director, has done a superb and excellent job at reevaluating the Rukwa charge system, pulling in key experts from industry and academia, and utilizing data from the previous drilling activities. All of that put together has resulted in breakthrough understanding of the charge system, allowing effective targeting for our up-and-coming drilling program. So the superb work under Justin's direction has really allowed us to hone in and choose the correct targets for our next drilling campaign. So how we see it is we're drilling with the right rigs at the right cost in the right place to give us the right result. Next slide, please. And if we look at the positive indicators from the Canambo prospect, what we're seeing is gas bubbles in shallows with significant above atmospheric helium concentration. And also the soil sampling at 9 potential well locations give us a very good indication that we have helium there. There's also direct evidence for deep helium enriched Karoo and basement fluids. And that's leading back to the previous excellent work that Justin's done. So what this is doing is it's confirming that we are actually drilling in the right place. Next slide, please. So in terms of, as I've been going about and talking to the market, there's, as always, you're trying to summarize things and put it into what they call elevator speech. And to me, our aim is to minimize the risk and maximize the probability of success. The forthcoming drilling plan was signed off by a team of world-class experts. I happen to know them all, both industry and academia. I would actually describe them as among the best in their respective fields. And what that's done is it's independently validated the approach that we're taking, both in terms of where we're drilling, how we're drilling, and with regards to the commerciality of it. We're drilling it for the right cost. What it also does is it proves up for further drilling on the western flank. So if the rigs works correctly, if we get the results, then we can rapidly move that out along the western flank. Next slide, please. So where we are at the moment is the drilling campaign's budget and timing are pretty close to being finalized. Our aim is still to drill this year. We see a photograph on the right-hand side of our COO, Dermot, along with our Tanzanian team who are currently in the field. And what we're doing this time is we're walking the line and we're making sure logistically we're absolutely ready for the equipment to arrive as smoothly as possible and get on with the job. Next slide, please. Now, maybe a little bit unconventional, but what we've actually done is we've thought this through and we thought, well, let's plan for success. Do we have the necessary peer review from a strategic point of view? And through the various connections of the Noble Helium board, we've approached really world-class industry experts, and at the appropriate time, and I would say that that's post the successful drilling of the well, we will constitute an advisory board. And what they'll be doing is they will be checking us in terms of strategy. They will be advising us with regards to the correct methods for financing the wells going forward, and they will help us with introductions and support post the success of our imminent drilling campaign. Next slide, please. So we've had a couple of roadblocks to deal with. We're continuing to manage the roadblocks. The major things that we had to deal with is transporting the Marriott rig away. That's went away from site. No further exposure to the business. And we have a favorable letter of agreement with our friends in Obsidian Global, such that they hold back whilst we get on and prove the system up. So we have a few other challenges to meet. I'm absolutely confident that we can't meet them and that they won't get in the way of us delivering this drilling program. Next slide, please. Maybe I thought we'd put this slide in because it's quite right that we remind ourselves as to what we're actually chasing. You know, helium is 50 times the price of LNG. And in the small illustration on the right-hand side, if you compare methane to helium, that's quite a leap. And all the marketing information that we can glean is indicating to us that the price of helium is not going down. And in fact, if you look at the geopolitical situation of the market at the moment, you would say that you might summarize that that's getting a bit fraught, and a secure and large pool of helium for the emerging market will become a thing of significance. And what we're really pushing for is for that to be Noble Helium. Next slide, please. So if that's what we're pushing for in terms of Noble Helium, what we're saying in summary, well, Noble Helium provides the first mover exposure to a multi-billion-dollar market. North Rukwa is an amazing geological and unique geological province. I've been drilling wells for a long time, over 40 years, and I've had a look at the rocks there, and I've had a look at the work that Justin's done. And every time I see it, I get more convinced that we're in the right place. We've got multiple targets to be tested, and we're using a multi-stage risk-based approach. Western Margin, which we're drilling up soon, offers the near-term monetization opportunity. Get that drilled up, monetize that, start getting helium and selling it. Look to open up the Western Margin. Look to bring in the majors to help us on the eastern side and prove up the big number. And look to augment the team as the assets and the project develops. And really, in this short presentation, I would conclude it here and just say that I'm still working unpaid. I'm still putting money into this business because I not only believe in the business, I believe in the people that are in the business. And I can't guarantee you success, but I can guarantee you whatever we can do to try and win that success, that's what we will do. I don't have anything further to say. I'll hand it back to you, Gareth.
Thank you for that, Dennis. I'll just bring myself back on screen. I'll just bring up the questions we received during the week now. We'll start the Q&A part of the session. As I said, I'm confident that many of the questions that were asked this week were answered. Perhaps the top question that was asked from participants this week or during the week was, when is Noble Helium going to raise the money?
Yeah, that's a good question. And, obviously we'll have to raise money. I've been in Australia for quite a few weeks now. And there are, of course, different ways that we can raise money. I'm a little bit restricted due to ASX rules for saying anything on this particular webinar. But I would say that we should be announcing something fairly soon with regards to funding, etc. And given my restrictions, perhaps maybe unhappily for some, I would leave my answer at that point.
Perhaps the same ASX rules apply for the next question, but also a very common question that was received this week, Dennis. Is the planned drilling campaign going to be done before the upcoming wet season in Tanzania?
I can't guarantee that, but that's our absolute aim.
One of the questions that's sort of been around for a while, how would you propose to fund the required infrastructure?
Well, as I sort of indicated in the presentation, we have a number of ways of doing that, and we've actually started talking to off-takers. We've started talking to potential farming partners, and there are a number of ways that we can do it once we've proven up that we've got the helium, particularly in the shallow place, and we're not far away from doing that, I would like to say.
Do you have any idea of the initial yearly production volumes, low case to high case, for the Western Margin plant facility?
I'm very sorry. I wouldn't like to answer that, and I don't think Justin could either. But what I can say is we'll have a much better idea of that in a few months once we get it drilled up. And that's certainly the testing, the successful testing of the wells is very intrinsic to the planning that's been done by the technical team.
Okay, well, those questions, although short, summarise the many questions we did receive during the week. I suppose as an end to the webinar, Dennis, a captain's privilege question, I suppose. From when you joined the board back in February, what is your sentiment now with an upcoming drilling campaign in the midst, and the many conversations you've had with your network? How do you feel about things at this stage?
I feel incredibly positive, and I have to pay compliment to the team that was there before us, because they went into it and there was big unknowns. but there was some excellent work done. And as I've talked to the market and as I've understood the market more, I think we're in the right place at the right time. Now, there's quite a few challenges for us to meet, but I believe in the thesis that was put to me when I put my cash up quite a while back, is to the unique nature of the generation mechanism in the Rukwa, gas phased, significant helium. And I think our two-phased approach, basically proving up the Western margin, monetizing it, while simultaneously selling, if you will, the eastern side to the big guys. And then we do have a couple of mechanisms that we can employ in order for us to fund the commercialization of the Western flank. I'm very buoyed. We have challenges to meet. I make no bones about that. But the team is firmly committed to meeting those challenges. And a lot of this team have put their own money in and are working unpaid and will not take any money until the drilling's proven the viability. And I know it's been extremely difficult for some of the shareholders as well, and of which I'm one. But in honest answer to your question, I'm extremely buoyed and I'm extremely positive.
Well, that's excellent. Thank you for your time today, Dennis. And that was a great note to finish on. I'll just remind every participant that a recording of the webinar will be posted on the Noble Helium website and on the social channels. But that brings today's webinar to a close. And thank you very much, Dennis. I'll leave things here now.
Thank you, everybody.